Hey folks, so I bought this plastic tub from the Family Dollar. I was looking for one that had lids that were also clear to where you can see through, even though this is opaque, but it's clear as in allowing light to go through, and an opaque one versus crystal clear will actually help diffuse the light. But anyway, this one measures 14.3 inches by 11.4 inches with a depth of 5.9 inches. And these are great because you can put them on shelves, stack them when they're see-through and everything, and propagate a lot of plants that way in a nice humid environment. So my Begonia pavonina, the Peacock Begonia, I stuck a bunch in a jar, and as you can see I have a lot of nice plantlets that are growing. I need to now get them out of here, they're starting to get too big. I also have a bag where I put some, but these aren't enough for a nice bin this size. So I went to the mother plant, and the first thing I did was cull some of the leaves that are older and starting to die, and this way I can get rid of them. I doubt they will produce any new plantlets being spent, but it's not bad to try, you know. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I know. I also took a larger leaf that was slightly damaged, and this way I can see that it would, not be very cyclically attached to the plant still, but it's still pretty healthy of a leaf. So I'm using this one to get more plantlets as well. And then my Peperomia peppermill had lost a leaf, so I'm just going to stick this in here. I have several I've propagated, and these are really easy to propagate. You don't need a humid environment per se, but I'm going to try it out. So to get started, I need to take this bin, and I'm going to be propagating it in some long fiber sphagnum moss. So I'm going to start by putting some down here. I'm not going to put way too much because I don't want to be wasteful. Some people may put it really thick or whatever, but what's nice is I can pull out the plantlets and then keep this sphagnum moss in here for reuse. So this way I'm not really being very wasteful, but I'm going to first break this up, make it spread apart, and as you can see I do need a little more to put a nice layer down. I didn't have in the jar with the pavonina and the bag a really thick amount in there, but for this I'm going to at least give it a healthy amount, but not too healthy. Okay, and then you see how it's floating up and everything? It could use a good water. So I'm going to go ahead and dump some water in here. You don't want to dump too much, but you want it to be moist but not soggy. So it takes a while to soak up because it's so dry. Once it starts to soak water and get a little wet, it will start wicking more a lot easily until it's saturated. So this may take a few minutes, so no need to worry if it's not soaking up readily. And then, I'm going to loosen the tough pieces. And I'm going to pat down, so this way it will start to pick it up. And this is a nice, good amount that I have on here. Just loosen some pieces if they're a little compact. And it's starting to feel a little moist. I can always add water. It's easier to add water than to remove, because to remove would mean I'd probably have to just take more sphagnum moss to it. I don't want it very deep because I want to be able to pull out the roots of the fresh plantlets once they're propagated. And this way they can actually be easier to pull out without damaging them as I put them into a larger pot. And when I mean larger pot, into a pot. But one thing to note is I can put them into a pot eventually, or I can I can do this directly into a pot, but for the time being, I'm trying it just in a loose tray. People have different methods, and people use both ways, or they employ both ways. So I'm going to stick the Peperomia over there. And I don't know if it's worth trying this one. It really is way too spent, actually. But then this one is a little, still almost as yellow. This one still has a little green, so I'm going to try that out. And I'm not going to try the really yellow portions, so that I'm going to get rid of. You know, as something starts to deteriorate, it accelerates. So to have that in a hope that I can get another plant may or may not work depending on how rapidly it will essentially root. But I'm just going to set these down. You can see it's still fairly dry, but no sweat. And then this leaf, when I looked at propagating rhizotomous begonias online, they said that they propagate via cuttings of the stem, as opposed to Rex begonias, where you propagate via cutting of the leaves. So I don't know how far down the leaves I can get these to propagate. So far, I've had good success propagating from leaves, so I'm not going in any particular order or pattern. I'm just going to see. I don't know if they propagate exactly like Rex begonias, but the websites I saw didn't indicate that. So I'm just testing it out. And one thing I'm going to do is, because this bag has not yet rooted, I'm just going to go ahead and add these to the mix, because once they do root, oh, you can actually see like a little root stub forming there. Anyway, once they do root, it will need to be moved anyway from the bag. So I'm going to set this there, set that there, set this here, and these stems apparently won't do anything because the stems from the other one, I just saw them fall out. They were dead, but I can't find them, so I'm not going to worry about that stem. So now that I have this, I do want to give it a little more water because I don't think I put enough. Yeah, and it's going to add humidity, which is nice when I close the lid. So as you can see, I still didn't put too much. I'd rather put it in sparingly than not. So now I have the lid shut, put this in a nice bright location, and I'm good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I hope it inspired you. So happy planting.